All right. Symbol sets. So we have been creating communication visually since the beginning of any kind of documentation. It was here on cave walls where we were creating symbols to communicate what's going on in our world. Our project objectives for our next project, which is going to be creating symbol sets, is to learn to identify symbols within an environment. We're going to learn to see unique characteristics of symbols, explore and experiment with shapes and patterns, practice simplicity in our design practice, and continue to develop a visual literacy. So symbols have tremendous potential for cross-cultural communication, as evident in airports, Olympic venues, and other places with diverse user groups. However, their extreme simplicity also risks the possibility of miscommunication. As cross-cultural communication grows and overlaps, symbols must become universal. So I'm going to share with you a personal trip that I took actually just over a year ago. Last fall, my son went to study abroad here in Dubrovnik, Croatia. So he was in Croatia for the whole fall semester. And in the end of December, I went, when he was finishing his semester, I went to visit him. And this is this gave me the inspiration for this project. So here I am in Croatia. It is a walled city. It is a medieval city, completely surrounded by a wall, and on the land side, and on the other side is the ocean. You can see I'm walking the wall around the city. There's a wall that goes all the way around the city, and I don't know how long it was, but it was exhausting. But I walked it, did the whole thing, and um, and you can see kind of this is like apparently on Instagram, this basketball court is very famous. Everyone apparently on Instagram photographs people playing basketball on that court. I'm told. You all might know. I don't know. This is a famous from any Game of Thrones fans. We have any Game of Thrones fans in the audience? A few of us. Okay. Awesome. Um, so it was Game of Thrones is this staircase is the famous staircase that Cersei from Games of Thrones walks down on her walk of shame. So if any fans are familiar with that famous episode where Cersei has to do the walk of shame, this is the staircase she walks down, which brings you to a lovely plaza where there's all kinds of lovely restaurants and things to eat at. Here are some of I'm now down off the wall in the village and kind of walking through. It's very medieval. And I get to this building. This is kind of in the center of the plaza. Now, this is Christmas time. This is literally the week before Christmas that I'm there.
Uh,
Um,
Ms. Decker,
yeah.
we can't see it.
Oh, wait, did we lose you? Oh, no. There we go. There, is it back?
Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay, good. So the did you see these? Okay, so this is the building in the middle, and it is literally in the middle of the town and decorated for Christmas. So you can see there's like a little angel here, and there's these little doll little balls. And then there's this tower. This is pretty. You can see this pretty much when you're anywhere in the city. It goes up high. You can see they have it's a tower, clock tower. There's a kind of a beautiful decorative clock right here. And inscripted, this is, hundreds and hundreds of years old. And I see this banner, and it's highlighting an upcoming event. And as I'm looking at it, I realize, oh, this is interesting. Here it is at the entrance to the walled city, this banner. And as I'm looking at it closer, I'm realizing, oh, the elements on all of the iconography and symbols. Now, I can't read it. I don't speak Croatian. I don't know how to read Croatian, but as a foreigner, I can see right away that the symbols in this banner and in this banner are literally there's the arches that are in the banner. Here's the brickwork. Here's the little clovers in the windows. See those? And I go back here. There's the arches. There's the arches. There's the brick. There's the clovers and the windows. And then it's a music festival, obviously. So they have like kind of a medieval, I'm not good with my medieval instruments. I don't know if any of you are Renaissance fans, but there's a name for this lute, maybe, or I don't remember. Little closer view. There's the guitar. So I can read Winter Festival because that's in English. Everything else I cannot read. But I can see that there's music going to be there. I can see there's the arches from this famous building in the middle. There's the castle top because we're in a medieval castle wall city. There's the clovers, there's the brick. All of the elements from the city of Dubrovnik are happening as symbols in this banner. Here it is again. Again, I can't read any of this, although I can read Christmas concert. So I start looking at all kinds of elements of the buildings in town, and I can see these patterns and see beautiful patterns in this building and the architecture. There's a bird. So what we're going to do is create a symbol set to really highlight a place. And that place is going to be the place is going to be all kinds of we're going to take inspiration from famous or culturally significant places. You can choose anywhere in the world, but we're going to be highlighting the place. And I'm going to show you some examples. So here is from last semester. Gave this project last semester. Can anyone guess what place this is?
Notre Dame.
That's
Is that
right,
right?
Notre
Notre
Dame.
Dame.
That's
Glad
right.
you said that. I was gonna say wherever the Hunchback is from, and then I
Yeah. Good. Yes, exactly. Notre Dame in France. Here is an example. So here's their process board from last semester at Notre Dame. So right away they did a mood board with pictures of Notre Dame. What are the most important, significant images? And then we're going to go through sketching and sketching out the different items and multiple times to kind of simplify and simplify and simplify. Then they're going to have revised sketches, and then we're going to move into creating our designs with them. All right, so this one is Garfield Park Conservatory in Chicago, and really kind of focusing on not as much on architecture as what's in the place. And that's okay too. So they're using sculptures and flowers and plants because this place is really known, it's a garden. So it's known for the plants and flowers. And how can we take and make some of that, but also include some of the cultural significance that makes it not like any other garden. And that's because there's sculptures here as well. It's not just a garden, there's also sculptures. And so here's their mood board with all of the places, all of the things there, all of the plants, and then their sketching process. And then as we move into the final. Any ideas where this one is? This is another world famous place.
Venice.
That's right. Good job, Venice. And of course, it's Venice. Oops. Of course, it's Venice because, of course, we have the gondola, which is, I think, probably the big giveaway. This is the bridges, and she kind of turned it into a pattern, all of the bridges that you go under when you're on a gondola in Venice. And then, of course, the griffins and the boats. And here's from the main clock tower in the middle of town. And notice we're going to be doing two different arrangements, just like I saw in Dubrovnik. The idea that when we design, we always need to design for multiple applications. So creating a symbol set allows us a lot of flexibility. So notice how these are both being used the same symbols, but they're being used differently depending on the orientation. There's a vertical and a horizontal orientation. We're going to be doing the same thing too. The color palette stays the same, but the arrangement of the images changes depending on the orientation. That's the flexibility of a strong symbol set. So notice on the one on the left, the clock tower is a pattern, but over here it's a single object. On this one, it's made a duplicate of multiple symbols. The tower over here, it's one. Here it's a single dome. Over here it's a pattern of domes. So on and so forth. So there's different elements that are treated a little differently depending on the application. And then you can see, oops, I meant to keep playing. Will it let me zoom in? I don't think it lets me zoom in, but you can see that there are the sketches of each one. And I think it was nice how the student also put the picture inspiration right next to the illustrations for each of the sketches of which ones they were going with. There's their mood board of all of their sketches of Venice, and then the revised sketches, and then into the final design, and then the color is last. All right. So the idea here is to really look at a place and figure out where in the world would we want to create a symbol set. You do want to create, it can be two different things, and I've shown you three different examples here. It can be a place like Venice or Notre Dame that are world-renowned cultural places, like everyone knows them. Or it can be something much more local, like the conservatory you saw on the one example. It can be somewhere that's not quite as world renowned, but also it has to have things that are very specific to it. So for the conservatory, it's mainly a garden, but it has these sculptures which really set it apart. It also has a very significant building, but the student decided it was just too complicated to try to capture the glass. It's a glass conservatory, which is really a challenge to try to. It doesn't have the details like I was showing you with the Dubrovnik building to have. So the key is you need to create and make symbols out of things. So for the plants, she used plants to make the symbols, and then of course the sculptures. But the Notre Dame was also, lots of sculptures, but also lots of patterning in the windows. The rose, we had the rose, the the rose window, and then also towers and things like that. There's a lot of elements that are very specific to Notre Dame. And then Venice, of course, has both architecture, water, and boats. So all kinds of things that we can use to really communicate a place. I recommend choosing a place that is more worldwide culturally recognized, because there's just more for you to work with. And I'm not trying to make it, I don't want it to be frustrating for you. I want you to really be able to have a lot of material you can easily get images of and find inspiration to find what you want to do to make your symbol sets. We're going to be having a minimum, let me pull up the assignment sheet so we can kind of walk through that too really quick. And all right, so our assignment sheet is right here in the project brief, and I have opened it up so you should be able to get to it. All right, so we're going to be designing an iconic symbol set that represents a place. No matter what, it's a place. It's not a person, it's not a thing, it's a place. This must incorporate the spirit of the place. We want to look for patterns and symbols that we can find in the landmark architecture objects and elements that help communicate the culture of the place that you could build a symbol set from. Your design must contain only original imagery and no text. However, I allowed, just like these banners, you are allowed at the end to add the text of the place underneath it, like you saw was added to the conservatory. So if you want to do that, you can, or you can just leave it just the symbol set. I will leave that up to you. But the design interior cannot include any text. So our process is going to be creative preparation. We want to make sure we are thinking about what are the things we need. We need to create a word association list of the place that we're thinking of. We're going to mind map it so we can kind of think and find all the things we can about it. Thumbnail sketching, gathering reference material is going to be very important. Refinement of drawn ideas, vector construction in Illustrator, refinement of vector illustration, and application of the design and presentation. And so here I'm giving you the examples of the two different size banners, the vertical and the horizontal, and the building that they used as inspiration for their design. So the first part of the process, we're going to be brainstorming, and that's what we're going to do today in class. We're going to create a mind map of ideas and places and architectural landmarks, thinking of 5 adjectives that represent our chosen place. We're going to use those 5 keywords at the first level of spokes on your mind map, and you're going to build a word list and mind map on your mural process board for project 4. Once you finish your mind map, you're going to choose your strongest ideas to move forward with into sketching. And then we're going to move into sketching and thumbnail sketches. We're going to be creating 5 to 10 sketches for each of our symbol ideas. Your symbol set will have 10 plus unique symbols to start with. So that means, just to keep us in mind of where we're going with this, these sketches, we're going to be doing basically 50 or more sketches to get to where we need to be for our unique symbols. And these are part of that process of your first idea isn't going to be your strongest. Our goal is to kind of do as many as we can to find those gems and those strong ideas. We'll then move into digital roughs. We'll then move into refinements. And our refinements are going to be where once we have our refined designs, we're going to learn how to turn them into patterns. So we're going to learn how to take the symbols that we design, create patterns from them. We're going to also be working with looking at multiple color palettes for our designs. You saw in some of the project workflows that we're going to look at different color palettes to try. We're going to then move them into a gridded design that will fit on a banner. Each banner will have a unique layout to fit in size of the orientation. We'll be doing a vertical orientation and a horizontal orientation of a banner. And once we have those banners done, we're going to do 3 or more colorways to see which is the right color palette for use on our banner. And I'm going to show you how to use a tool called Adobe Recolor. So it's a really quick and easy process to change out our colors on our banners once we've done them. The information here for our final design is right here, our landscape banner and our portrait banner. And then we're going to put them into a mock-up where we're going to see them sitting on a wall as if they were advertising our event that we're planning to do with these banners. Okay, at the end, as just like every project, you'll put them on your mural. You'll put all the stage steps of this process on your mural process board, and then we'll also be posting it in Blackboard for grading. It'll be your responsibility to put them in both places. Okay, does anyone have any questions on the overview I just gave? All right, I am going to pause our recording.